Hi, Assalamualaikum to Miss Azrin and everyone. Today we will present to you a country from the background, history, social and culture, political and economic aspect, current issue, potential and recommendation for businesses. And we choose Japan. I will introduce to you the group members. Me, Nurul Ilana Sofia binti Roslan, Nurul Asya Zubila binti Khalil, Iman Nur Aina Wahida binti Hazul Harman, Nawal Nuha binti Abdul Muttalib, Putri Sofia Amani binti Asnan. Japan as the official name and Nippon or Nihon as the local name. Known as the Land of the Rising Sun, a nation that occupies a chain of islands in East Asia in the North Pacific Ocean, roughly parallel with the eastern coast of Asia's mainland. The country shares maritime borders with China, North Korea, South Korea, Philippines, Russia and Taiwan. Japan is spread over 6,000 islands and has a surface area of 377,915 km per square, making it slightly larger than Germany. Other than that, the country has a slowly shrinking population and the proportion of older people is rising. Last year, 125 million people lived in Japan. The national capital and the largest city are Tokyo, and the currency of Japan is yen. Japan is also famous for the mountain, that is Mount Fuji. Mount Fuji, or sometimes also known as Fujiyama. Japan was settled about 35 years ago by people from Paleolithic era who came from the Asian mainland. However, during 1185, the kingdom was taken over by samurai lords called shoguns and ruled the Japanese known as emperor until 1868. The Kamakura shogunate from 1185 to 1333 had ruled most of Japan beginning Kyoto. Kamakura repelled attacks from the Mongol fleet in 1274 and 1281 with the help of two magical hurricanes. An attempt to overthrow the shogunate in 1331 by a very powerful emperor, Go-Daigo, resulted in a civil war between the northern and southern court but ended in 1392. During World War I, Japan had formalized its rule over Korea and controlled northern China. The Showa Emperor Hirohito, who oversaw the aggressive development of Japan during World War II, has made the rebirth of Japan as a modern industrial country and known around the world.
The famous culture in their country is bowing to show respect. Bowing is also done to express gratitude, apologies, make a request, or beg for a favor. Shaking hands is unusual. Customers are usually greeted by workers with the greeting "Irashaimase," which means "Welcome to our shop." This video shows that bowing to show respect has been practiced at an early stage of age. They are bowing as a sign of gratitude. The second point is about kohai, which means junior that have to respect senpai, the senior. It is because senpai have gathered more experience in life, and it is not uncommon for them to guide the kohai in their work. The next point is after-work drinking. Drinking meetings are regarded as essential for developing solid relationships between new employees and employers. However, as worries about power abuse develop, these meetings have become less regular in some companies. Furthermore, Japan is one of the cleanest countries in the world. For instance, the water that floods the city is clear and does not include rubbish. A good environment can avoid obtaining a sickness. That's why Japan has a low mortality rate, and Japanese have the highest life expectancy in the world due to having a hygiene country. Social and culture in Japan are greatly admired by foreign countries, and they can attract more tourists and investors.
My name is Nawal. For my part, I will explain briefly about Japan's political and economic aspect. First of all, Japan uses constitutional monarchy just like England, and their current political structure has only existed for 71 years, means that the government maintained the country's long-standing imperial family as the honorary head of country. This moment forward, the National Diet, the Cabinet, and the judicial branches of the government has been divided into three branches. The legislative, executive, and judicial branches are represented by this organization respectively. Other than that, the major leaders worked tirelessly in the early years following the fall of the Tokugawa shogunate to establish government structures in Japan that would build a strong like United Nations able to withstand demands from the West. These people created a policy in 1889 which was presented to the public on the emperor's behalf. By establishing a legal framework known as the Meiji Constitution, the emperor gained control over the military and the civil government that gave issued orders known as ordinances and held sovereign authority. Also built a democratically elected parliament, but more known as the Diet, and the purpose is for making law and drawing the country's budget. Next is the explanation of the Diet of Japan. It contains upper house, the House of Councillors, a lower house, the House of Representatives. It is the sole branch of government with the authority to pass new laws and also has the highest level of state power in the nation. The Diet's primary duties include Japan's Prime Minister to pass the federal budget, approving international treaties, drafting, and not to forget enacting constitutional revisions. The 480 members of the House of Representatives, the lower house, are elected to 4-year terms. Direct election from local district elect 300 members to office. Proportional representation technique was used to appoint 180 members from the desired party. The primary power to pass legislation into law rests with the House of Representatives. When a bill is rejected by the House of Councillors, the House of Representatives has the option to re-vote on it and pass it with 2/3 of the vote or more. Moving on to the economic aspect, according to research made online about how Japan handled their economic crisis is by assessment of the current economy. The effects of recent economic packages have progressively assisted in stopping the severe economic downturn, and the Japanese economy has started to show some sign of change. However, despite this development, overall private demand is still at a rest. Therefore, even after the latest package economic effects have faded, the economic prospects for a self-sustaining recovery are still unclear. There are two primary issues related to the fragile economy, and there is still a need for more real adjustment to the collapse of the bubble economy. Then, the Japan system, which was the driving force behind the nation's extraordinarily high growth in the post-war era, has become problematic in terms of economic growth in light of the sharp decline in birth rate and the rapid aging population, the pace of which has not been experienced in other industrialized countries. That's all from me, and now the next group member will present their part.
For investment, Japan recorded a high FDI in 2020. According to the most recent OECD data, FDI inflows to Japan were USD 16.8 billion in the first semester of 2021. Japan has promised to attain net zero emissions by 2050 and has laid forth an ambitious strategy to become the global decarbonization leader. Next is social issues in Japan. It is about a society with no one to turn to. It is because individuals have stayed at home because of the COVID-19 epidemic, restricting their contact with other people and society. Japan's high rate of social isolation tends to correspond to its high rate of suicide. Technologies issues. Japanese Prime Minister and US President met virtually in January 2022 to discuss the current and future of the US-Japan relationship. The discussion of the current and future of the US-Japan relationship is about technology in new work streams and 2+2 topics. coordination of technology between Washington and Tokyo has emerged as a critical subject that may improve economic cooperation and strengthen defense collaboration.
First, finance and insurance industry. It indicates 4.3% of NGDP in Japan and increased by 2.7% of its GDP in 2020. The estimated value is around 23.14 trillion yen. 80% of the insurance products are profited by life insurance products, while the rest is from non-life insurance products such as motor insurance and personal accident financial loss. Second is electrical machinery industry. Japan shows interest of importing electrical machinery, apparatus, and appliances ever since 1983. In 2017, $92.01 billion was generated from import of electrical and equipment, and half of it is from China. The products include telephone set, cable wires, a diode, and transistor. Third is transportation equipment production. Due to COVID-19 pandemic, demand of air travel has decreased as many countries tightening the restriction to enter their border. As the result, the market size on aircraft had decreased. However, Japan managed to continue their operation by offering lucrative long-term market for imported aircraft, parts, engines, and technologies related. Society of Japan Aerospace Company predicted that aerospace industry to remain flat and not return to pre-COVID level until 2023. In 2020, Ministry of Finance said the importance of aircraft products has total amount of 9.5 billion, whereby 68% of total amount was indicated by United States. Thus, the opportunities on this industry may relatively increase as pandemic is getting better and many countries start to reopen their border. Fourth is chemical. Japan is the largest chemical market in the world, where it produced 338.2 billion worth of chemical products in 2010 according to the Japan Chemical Industry Association. It approximately created around 880,000 jobs. There are serious competition, especially in low-cost production countries. Therefore, Japanese chemical industry spent 2,300 yen solely in research and development to make better quality of chemical products. In addition, there also a trend where foreign direct investment not only seek for low-cost production, but also production that close to consumption market. Lastly is pharmaceutical industry. The market size of pharmaceutical industry is increasing and continues to be one of the largest market despite of its demographic. In 2020, there are 107 billion worth of prescription and non-prescription of pharmaceutical products, said by Ministry of Health. In the same year, 24% of Japanese market is coming from foreign pharmaceutical.
Based on the demography and resources that are available and required in Japan, there is such a worthy for the country to make trades and invest. First, in terms of finance and insurance sector. Finance and insurance is a part of financial activities that engage with the transaction of creation, liquidation or change in ownership of financial assets, raising funds, accumulation of risk on provide specialized services that can ease and endorse the financial mediation insurance and as well as the employee benefits programs. Second, Japan also can go for trade and invest in the tourism sector. This is because tourism is a commercial organization and operation of holidays and visits to the interest place that available at that country or place. Third, Japan also was famous in sector of pharmaceutical and other alternative medicine because it is the third largest pharmaceutical industry in the world, and there is a high demand and profitable that Japan can get from the both pharmaceutical and other alternative medicine. Fourth, the renewable energy sector. Renewable energy sector is the energy that industry being focusing on the new and compatible of the renewable energy technologies. Last but not least is the automotive technology sector. It is because automotive technology is usually referred to self-propelled vehicles or machines. I think that's all the recommendations that we think that are suitable for the Japan to make some trading and investment.